loves this note? Anybody that knows this note? I want you to note along with this note. How do you say? I want you to sing along to this motherfucking note. Anthony, drop that note. Finally made a good sandwich. Yeah, right. This shit almost sounds convincing. The last time I felt this sick and contradict the resist was the last time we played a show and since.
Get real, they tell me. If only they knew how real this life really gets. They would stop acting like a silly bitch. They would respect the cock, whether or not they believed in it. Doesn't take much, and that's messed up. Because he's.
My name is Slug from Atmosphere, and you are currently watching Under the Gun TV.
I gotta ask you, Hudson, how we doing? All right? Just like you.
What do you think it is about you guys that you're so universal and you can play with all these different bands and it's not weird?
That's a good question. I'm not certain that I would be able to pinpoint why we're not awkward on a bill like this. I'd love to think that our message is universal. You know, I think me and Anthony like to reinforce the idea of hope, or struggle your way through, get through what you're going through type of music. And I like to think that's universal. So, you know, outdoors, under the sky, with a bunch of dirty people, it's just right. There's just so much shit at work here. You know, we throw a festival in Minneapolis. It's a rap festival. It's called Soundset. We throw it in May of every year. It's actually outside of Minneapolis, but you know, we shoot for between 20 to 30,000 attendees. It's a one-day thing. We have our own version of trying to figure out how to cultivate that lineup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now with us, it's all hip hop, so it's possibly it's a little easier to focus on what you're doing. You want to get some conscious rap. You want to get some fucking, you know, some ignorant rap. You want to get some of this, some of that. You want to represent all the different branches of the tree so that you're not necessarily just appealing to one person. You don't want to preach to the choir. You want to be able to bring different people together to experience different stuff that they might not necessarily listen to or have heard. They came to see their favorite band, but while they were in the process of that, they discovered 2 or 3 other bands that they didn't know that they would like, you know? This record has been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make, and it's also been a lot of fun to present. And I guess that's all we were really going for with this record, was to broaden our experience palette and have some more fun.
Yeah. So the video for Camera Thief came out so awesome. Where did that concept come from, and what was it like filming that video? You know, put us like in a perspective, like on the set shooting that.
This dude named Andrew Melby made that video. He found a couple of locations that he wanted to use, and that was kind of a location-based video. In essence, the storyline came after, but first it was about just trying to make use of especially the airplane boneyard. You know, it's such an amazing looking location that the idea for the video kind of grew out of just seeing how.
So was that props, or was that like a?
No, that was a graveyard.
CGI,
that was a real airplane graveyard.
Plane?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not crashed, but
abandoned.
Dead planes. Yeah.
Okay.
Where planes go when nobody uses them anymore. You know, because they don't just. You can't just melt them down. You know what I mean? They're huge.
Or drop them in the ocean somewhere.
Right. And so out in the desert, there's this area, space where there's just hundreds of dead planes. The concept behind this song was kind of to try and write a song to explain where we were before this album to where we are with this album. So the song is about journey, life journey, if you will. And so the video turned into kind of being I guess maybe an awkward, kind of an awkward version of Dante's Inferno, basically, where you got this guy who's dead, but he's still traveling. He's still trying to reach a location. Yeah. And in a way, the whole album is kind of written about, you know, with a lot of mortality shit in mind. You know what I mean? Like a lot of death on this record, but not in a scared to die or a worried about death or a dark death way, but more just kind of musings about how I feel about death, you know? And so when the video kind of eventually turned into that concept, it felt really natural, real perfect.
All right, so here's a question I really wanted to ask you. because it kind of confuses the hell out of me just about Atmosphere in general. You guys have been making music like since before I was born. I was born in '91. So for people that are fans,
oh, that's great.
Fans of Atmosphere,
yeah.
You're like iconic to them. You're legendary, and they look up to you. And you've got like on the internet, on Facebook, it's like over 1 million people following you. But then again, you're not exactly like on top 40 or anything, and like Rhyme Sayers even says like they refer to you as kind of like the kings of indie rap. So like, how does that work? You're like huge, but you're still indie. Like how do you feel like? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I don't
it's
really.
It's a hard thing to verbalize.
Yeah. And I don't even know how, what, where. I don't know. All I know is me and Anthony are really fortunate to be in the shoes that we're in. You know. Life is short. Everybody has one. You could have caught anyone, and this is the one I caught. And so I know I'm fortunate to be here. But in the same breath, I don't take it for granted. I don't know how we got to where we got, but I'm not complaining. I'm happy that we are where we are. And I'm not greedy about where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think part of that is you guys always tried to like stay true to yourselves, right? Because I mean, you're such good artists that if you wanted to put out a song that would be played on the radio on Z100, you probably could have done it years ago.
I don't know if we could. I don't know if we'd know how to. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Though.
Like,
you always just kind of did what you did.
Yeah,
right?
You know, what we do is what we do. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been times where we've had songs where we were like, oh, we should try to service this to radio because this might work.
Yeah.
And it generally doesn't. But that's okay. That's just the natural path of it. You know, it's like, as long as I'm happy with the music that we make and comfortable with it, once I turn it into the label, I don't care what they do with it. If they want to try and get it played on the radio, cool, because that's almost like an afterthought to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not your priority, though.
It's not the priority. But if you think you can get it on the radio, that's great, because why wouldn't I want to reach
share your message.
More people?
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't I just want to take up a little bit more of that invisible space inside of the world of content? You know what I'm saying?
No,
it's kind of like,
yeah.
And so in that regard, you know, when you say stay true to yourself, that's just such an easy, almost,
cliche.
No disrespect, but almost a bullshit way to say something that we really don't know how to articulate. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's not so much that I'm like going, well, I'm going to go stay true to myself, but more so just me going, man, I don't know how to do nothing but be this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just do my best, or try to do my best to be this to the best that I can. You know what I mean? And if only so that my children can see that that's how you're supposed to be. Also, the other thing is, when we talk about this kind of shit, it creates a dichotomy between somebody like me and then what is happening on the radio. And I'm not really a fan of creating that line and drawing that line either, because I don't think that the shit on the radio is any less or more important than what I do.
Yeah.
I don't measure art based on how many people it's reaching. I measure communication based on that. But as far as art goes, every song on the radio has artistic merit as far as I'm concerned, solely because some people took some time to cultivate and say something, regardless of whether or not they're talking to me or talking to you or who.
If you agree with the message.
Exactly. In the world of this music, when I was younger, it was really easy for me to be aggro and pissed off at what was going on, especially in rap music, man. We were so... We wanted this shit to stay so pure, because I'm insecure that it might die.
Yeah.
I don't want it to die. I don't want you guys to kill hip hop. You know what I mean? Now that you step back and realize, like, look, man, like, this shit was too powerful to kill. Nobody could kill it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not so worried then about what direction somebody might take it. You know what I'm saying? In that regard, it's like, the further you could take it, good for you, man, because that's you know, we all use music for different reasons, and so I'm no longer trying to judge the listener or even an artist for what they do, especially because then I just feel like I'm being a bitter old man. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be that guy. You know, there were people who were bitter old men when I was the young guy, and I'm like, I didn't like them dudes.
You seem to have a good perspective on things now, though. I mean,
I'm fortunate that I have the time to cultivate that perspective.
Yeah.
Because some people don't even get that. Some people don't even get the time to have that perspective because they're so caught in whatever they're struggling with. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that I can spend hours in my basement writing and thinking about music and thinking about life is a fortunate thing. You know, that's the funny thing to me too, is like, people look at something and what they do is they compare it to everything else that's going on around you and and how could you not? And so to take a record that me and Anthony just made and to compare it to what's hot in hip hop today, I love seeing how people interpret that, because it's kind of hard to sit and go, oh, check this out. For instance, Talib Kweli drops a new record. I go listen to it. First thing I do is decide which tracks are hot, which ones are banging, which are this. The last thing that I finally do is go, hey man, this is a fucking human, and this is the shit this guy wanted to say to whoever the fuck wanted to take the time to listen. And I think that's where I'm coming to finally, where I'm going, hey, all these dudes that I used to go, oh, he's my top 5 lyrical, or he's this, that, and the third. All of these things don't matter as much to me anymore, because now I'm starting to see through it and realize, like, yo, that Ghetto Boys record, man, that was a record about depression, and maybe I didn't see it back then, but now as a listener, I'm going, oh my God, this is some crazy deep shit. Back then it was just about Scarface and whatever he was spitting. Now I'm like looking at it going, man, this was from some guys that were
feeling things,
communicating themselves, you know. And so that's where I'm like, kind of like, man, it's hard for me to look at my own records anymore with some sort of comparison game. It's hard for me to look at anybody's records and compare people to each other anymore, because now I'm sitting here realizing, like, it's like I finally just realized that all these dudes are different people, all these women, they're different people, all these MCs are different people, and this is just the shit that they need they feel like talking about right now. This is Slug from Atmosphere. Thank you for watching Under the Gun TV. That's a lot of rap hands for I'm just fucking talking.
Find my balance, I gotta find my balance.